Hello and welcome to AI Insanity, where the purpose is to learn how to use AI. Sorry about that. To learn better. And last time we were trying to make some grayscale shaders for UI, for having disabled icons. And I realized that in the end, ChatGPT did something really bad, or I did something really bad because I didn't really prompt it with an actual design. I just told it, just put everything together, give me one with everything, and let's have this stuff that is multi-configurable, but it didn't work because I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to configure on that shader. Let me see where I think this is the one. Is this the one? Yeah, like the one that didn't make any sense because none of these things actually do anything. And this is what happens when you build something really complex and you have a lot of dependencies. Like nothing is going to make any sense whatsoever. But since we did actually manage to get some icons in the scene, maybe we can like make some interactions, like do them clickable and have a cooldown for just placing towers on the scene. Let's just play and see what's going on at this point. Yeah, so we have this badly set camera and some action that is going on here, and the enemies that are, they're all going in the same direction to attack the center stuff thingy. Okay, let me just, we're all going to need like free stuff, so I'll just disable everything. What did I do here? I set the width. I'm trying to remember where everything is because that's how it's usually going to happen. You're going to forget everything that you have ever done. Let's make this simpler. I'm just playing with the UI at this point. This is too big, isn't it? I'm just trying to set up something really like simple. Okay, we have those three icons. We have a height. Why is the height? Okay, the height. I'm not trying to be perfect at this point. I'm just trying to, I will prompt GPT to ask it what should I be doing? How do I do this better? Okay, let's just, hey, I have a UI in Unity. I'm using a canvas because there's a new UI in Unity. There's a new entire system, and I was going to go and use that, but I'm just trying to make some small connections right now just to advance gameplay, because I do feel that is a whole nother experience in itself, the UI toolkit. And yeah, I would actually make a series at one point where I'm just introducing that. Okay, so I have the UI, I'm using canvas, I have some buttons. When I press a button, I have a tower that spawns on the map. what should I do? And if you remember, or if I remember, let me just close everything up that we didn't need. And this, I did do some prefabs and put everything right together. So at this point, every time I need to spawn something, I should get instructions from ChatGPT to actually use that prefab. And I don't think that I actually made the buttons. And let's just skip through all this. Oops, I forgot to make the buttons. How do I do buttons? I'm thinking at this point, because these are instructions for beginners, like if you have never actually used this and never done this, this might be one option. And there's two directions we can go here. Let's try to get the generic answer. See what it does if I just casually forgot to do some stuff. Yes, I'm incredible for forgetting to do buttons. And it tells me to, in the hierarchy, right click UI canvas, and it will give us an event system, which we should never delete. Do not delete the event system. It's really nice. I mean, I like it when it sprinkles all this extra information. You wouldn't normally find all these things while actually trying to look how to create a button. Canvas scaler. Okay, good. And yeah, basically do what we have done before and take every element. And what is an event system, GPT? What is a canvas scaler? What is a canvas render mode? Okay, so let's actually do this. What is an event system? What is a canvas scaler? What is render mode? And why should I leave it on overlay? And I'm not going to do the same mistake that I did last time, where I was just trying to highlight stuff and ask it one at a time, and I completely lost track of the conversation. I'm just going to read through everything and add notes as I'm going along, because then I'll just lose track and forget what I was doing. Okay, create the button, right click on the canvas, UI button. We were already one step ahead because, well, we have this entire structure that we already set up. And okay, I'll put the buttons. Where are the buttons? I'll put the buttons. Import TMP. Should I ask it what TMP is? UI button text mesh pro if you value your eyesight. Oh no, it told me to import. Yes please, to which question? Please, if you write in the chat, do write some context, because there might be some delays. Ask it. I'm asking it everything. Okay, ask it everything. Yes, okay, let's ask it everything. Good strategy. Oh no, it told me it. And just like with me, you should also be specific and give ChatGPT as much context as possible, because oh my god, I'm just like it, right? Yeah, maybe. Told me to import this. Okay, so it told me TMP importer. Told me to import something in TMP importer window. What the is that? Okay, and then it gives us more info on how to actually do the button. We'll be able to do the button once we get rid of that pop-up. Make it not look like trash. We will be adjusting the button in just a moment. Make the button actually do something. This is getting way ahead. Yeah, I think I need to trace back to the first prompt that I asked it. Yeah. Come on, button disasters you are probably about to hit. Okay, so this is actually kind of cool. I don't want to like it, but I like this kind of stuff because the common search or even Stack Overflow or the documentation, it's not going to be this comprehensive. And yes, sometimes it's going to hallucinate, sometimes it's going to just go off script. But okay, let's actually see what it tells us. Button doesn't click, something is blocking raycast, usually an image you forgot about. What is a raycast that I might have forgotten? It's going to take us like 2 hours to learn about the button. I wanted to do more, but apparently there's so much things. You wired it twice and didn't notice? How can I be so stupid? Button works in play mode but not later. You edited the scene object instead the prefab. Button works in play mode but not. This is just confusing. I mean, I understand what it's trying to do, but it's just confusing phrasing. Summary. Don't put gameplay logic on UI. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, don't put interactions between elements and stuff like that. Rename your objects. Yes, perfect. Thank you. Buttons are dumb and so are you. If something goes wrong, we'll blame it on GPT. Next mistake you're about to make is mixing UI click and word clicks. This is like TMI at this point. Yeah. So for a beginner, yeah, Unity dumps all this stuff, and mostly if you're actually trying to understand everything, I've learned that the best course of action is to not try to understand anything, just make things work, mostly if you are at the beginning and this is like your first project. Just do something that works and go from there beyond. Event system. So listens for input. Sends events. So basically when every interaction that I do with the pointer, with the mouse, like clicking, entering, exiting, it auto creates it because it has some fail-safes, and it makes sure that in some scenarios it is a must to have some elements, and it just creates everything once I create a canvas, it gives me the event system. That is like the logic to know where the pointer is on screen and all the other stuff. What you should do with it, do absolutely nothing. There are some details, but not necessary. Canvas is a rendering system. What did I ask it? Why is it telling me about canvas? What is a canvas scaler? And this is where I don't like it anymore, because I asked something, what is a canvas scaler, and it's telling me what a canvas is. Yeah, the canvas is everything user interface related, buttons, text, and so on. We don't know what the canvas scaler is. We are not going to find out tonight because ChatGPT didn't tell us. Render modes decides how the canvas is drawn. And we have several render modes right now. Oh, it's telling about all of them. Yeah, and basically we're concerned with the overlay, just the default rendering mode where everything is drawn on top of the screen, on top of the gameplay. Nothing interacts with anything. Simplest, least bugs, always visible, doesn't. We can see a canvas scaler explanation at the bottom. Where is the canvas scaler explanation? I swear I don't see it. Oh, okay. Canvas scaler. You are supposed to. Yeah, it wasn't the same order. But yeah, I like it again. Anyway, screen space overlay, always visible, always on top. We're not going to get into the others beyond the scope of what we're doing right now. Yeah, it butchered it a bit. The thing that stops UI from exploding on different screen resolutions. Yeah, so basically what it's telling us is that it's doing some automatic stuff, so the UI fits perfectly on every screen. And the important settings, which is recommending us, which is actually the standard, is to scale with screen size. Canvas, which I configured last time. Scale with screen size and have like the standard resolution that I think many laptops and displays are using a bit more nowadays. But yeah, something like 4K or QHD. This is okay. What it's trying to tell us is that if I actually have a smaller screen, like let's say this PS right here, it's going to scale anything in a uniform manner. And you can see that the ratio is basically the same. And no matter what I choose, the UI is going to look the same on all the screens. And back to default. The pop-up with the TMP importer. So the history with TextMesh Pro is that it wasn't the default package. Unity had a much stupider, weaker package. Text Mesh Pro was something done third party, and it was later integrated. Well, they didn't integrate it because you need to import it separately, but they basically made it Unity official. And yeah, could have given, I mean, if you're interested in more background, you can just ask, hey, tell me more about Text Mesh Pro and what's going on there. But what it basically does, it does vectorial graphics, and this is why it says that it's better text rendering, no blurry text like the legacy text, because it calculates vectorially. What the importer does, it just adds the packages into the project. What you should do, okay, nice, thank you for that. I just look at that and was wondering if you told me this. Ignore example and extras unless you're bored. And we're importing. This is the last one. Was this the last one? So recast and wire the button twice. 2 more questions. No, it's canvas killer. Raycast. Okay. The raycast. Basically, yeah, this is everything is in a 2D space right here, and what it's telling us is an invisible line shot into the world to see what it hits. Like my cursor is here, and I don't know, I click right now, and from my cursor it goes in depth inside the screen, inside the game, and it's like a straight line. And yeah, basically imagine that line that is drawn, and it starts from the mouse, it goes into depth into the display, and whatever it hits, and if it hits a button, then that is perfectly fine. We have this button right here. Laser pointer that reports collision, it reports what the interaction collided with. Object selection, shooting, mouse clicks in 3D and even in 2D, because we are talking about the 2D space. Just going to ignore that for now. Yeah, and this is another thing, because you might go like in too much depth. This is not exactly related to what we are doing right now, and yeah, the question was related to something it gave us, but if you keep going on this line, you might actually be going down on a spiral into other stuff. If you forgot raycast, you didn't forget. Yeah, and what it missed to tell us about the raycast was actually contextual, because I was interested in the context of the button, and yeah, I didn't ask the question contextually because I didn't like highlight and to ask GPT to continue that, because I was gathering all these scraps. But you can also do what I did here and here, like copy paste the snippet of text that you want more information about. You wired it twice and didn't notice. Wired what twice? It was about the button. You're doing init UI, you click the plus twice, you assign the same method twice. Yeah, this is where it also gives us a warning that it's going to take us through a spiral, and maybe it's not stuff that we might break. Like, it's okay to not understand everything and to ignore some stuff, mostly at the beginning. Yeah, so just to add like a little button, you have all these complex systems that you have no idea what to do with. But with UI, once you've done that, then everything else just becomes the same and it has the same principles. It's quite simple, I might say. There were something that I wanted to test, and we have two options here, some of which I tried in previous streams. How do I do buttons in Unity, in Canvas? Again, give it as much contextual information as required. Don't go like too much, but the more it knows, the more exact it can answer. I am a complete beginner. I never used Unity ever in my life. I have no idea what I'm doing. Please help. Oh no, please. Okay, let's see. Basically, this is like the prompt engineering. Pretend you're explaining to a 5-year-old child, but it's more stylized. And I want to compare this with an expert request just to see how it differs. Okay, so we're back to the step-by-step create a canvas, create, which it creates an event system and all that stuff. This seems like oddly familiar. Move and resize it. UI uses rect transform. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole and ask what rect transform is. Expand the button. Make the button actually do something. This is the whole script stuff and clicking that we can continue on the other thread. Yeah, so basic step-by-step instruction. Right click, create C# script, name it, attach the script. I'm just we will do all this stuff, most of it. I'm just looking to see if it makes sense what it actually tells us. Button visible but not clickable, nothing happens. Well, if nothing happens, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Yeah, straightforward. Looks like it gives enough explanations. Please explain this like I am an expert. Oh no, I am actually an expert. I just want to know if maybe I missed any kind of stuff, or just give me all the hidden tricks and tips, whatever. Just UI. Okay, so this is a bit more advanced, and it's just for now giving us explanations. Graphic selectable event target. Gotcha checklist, like why stuff wouldn't be working. I like it that it likes to warn us about stuff not working. Button graphic. Okay, so if you actually want to, let's demo this a bit, because we have the button which we added earlier, and you have the actual button component which takes care of all the clicks and stuff like that, and we have the image component which is actually the raycaster that it keeps telling us about, and without this it will not know what to raycast, what to actually click, where to actually click it. And let's just do a test with this default. If it keeps loading, okay, and I can just disable stuff while I'm in play mode. It still works. Let's see. Raycast. Yeah, and now it no longer has a target to be able to click on. And yeah, by default, yeah, you can now see that it it responds to the clicks because it knows that there is actually something to be able to click. I'm not going to get into all the details, but generally you disable raycast targets on all the components that you don't need for performance issues, and configure all other kinds of crazy stuff, but beyond the scope, and you can just ask GPT as you actually need it. Yeah, and these are also simple things to forget, simple things to miss. Selectable state transitions. The selectable states transitions, it's talking about what's going to happen when we have all these states. Normal pressed, you notice that when I press the button it turned gray because this right here is gray, and that was the reason, and this is what it's trying to tell us. Yeah, colors, the ones we already have configured, or you can actually use sprites or animations. The only sane option, yeah, I don't know what to say about that, because yeah, I agree, but every time I try to use an animator, on a button, it's just goes crazy. Yeah, this caught my no, Unity doesn't document this properly. There are a lot of things that might not be documented or have complete examples. This is where GPT can actually dig deep enough to find examples, use cases, problems, errors, and so on. On click is only for demos, so do not use button on click add listener because you might need parameters, removal, debugging, wire buttons to UI controller scripts. Button only raises intent, not logic. Logic lives elsewhere. So I'm just going to need more, and I will go back to the others, but I need to clarify this because it's going like in circles. Because one of the ways that we can actually add interaction to the button is by using this menu here, this on click. And let me just, do you mean it's better to use the on click like section on the button component and press the plus to add? Callback, like adding the logic and connecting the button to something. So no, it didn't actually mean that. And yes, gaslighting developers to do bad architecture, and I actually agree with this, and more than agree with this. So, and I'll explain in a moment why. The inspector on click plus button, 0 safely, silent failure, hidden coupling. All this makes sense. I completely agree with it. I'm not going to stay and explain what any of this mean. As I put it in the prompt, give me advanced stuff and pretend I'm already an expert. So it's pretending I am an expert. It is none of this. Yeah, so past the prototype, don't do this. Basically, yeah, to exemplify, adding the plus and connecting something else here. And why is it that? Because when I do this, when I have to work in a bigger project, I never find these connections anywhere. I just need to spend half an hour looking through the entire hierarchy just to find a button connection, to figure out where the logic is. And it's so inconsistent, and I see it. I keep wondering what is the better way. Is it better than add listener? No, it's worse. At least add listener. Yeah, this is the alternative where you actually have a central point to add functionality for the button. It's harder to debug, and using add listener uh, is just safer, and it doesn't hide. What actually scales? Button does not. Gameplay systems, controller. So yeah, it's doing like a recap. Button forwards intent. I still don't understand what is telling me the best option is, because I feel like here it's telling me to use that plus that it says not to use. One of tools, debug menus, game jams. The real reason is not because it's good, because Unity tutorials, because it's fast. It's not that fast. It avoids writing one more script. It's so the inspector plus is not better. There might be some scenarios where I would consider something like that being used, and that's if you have something that is central. Okay, so I still don't understand so what are you saying? How should I actually add functionality to my button like a pro? The plus is a no-go, but what you said here sounded like you wanted me to use the plus. Okay, so don't let the button decide anything at all. Yeah, I guess this was the problem in terminology with forward intent. A button should not contain functionality. A button should emit a signal. Absolutely correctly. Not do anything, any of this, just I was clicked and the pro pattern. So the button has zero logic, correct? You have a script that registers something to the button, and then you have a controller. So basically, get the reference to the button and then the listener, and we are going to do that, exactly that. And the plus button is the wrong tool. Okay, I understand it now. Yeah, button is a doorbell that rings on something else and tells something else to do, to act on a bit of logic. Oh yeah, I did go on a side track. I do think that there are some ways that you might actually branch conversations, but I didn't really bother with all the options that it's using. Broken navigation, yeah, not out of scope. Layout groups, yeah, layout groups with animations. Again, yeah, I told it to be an expert. Canvas modes. Why should do other ways of canvases. Canvas rebuilds. Yeah, this is starting to look good if you're maybe preparing for an interview or want to actually learn to sound like an expert. But for every little thing, I mean, it might be too much, too fast. You can just take it and play around in Unity and see what it all does. Request filters, text mesh pros, custom button classes. Yeah, custom button classes because the default button is extremely dumb and it doesn't have all these things like press and hold, double click, right click, hover, delay, disable tooltip logic, and you just need to implement all that stuff if you need it. Buttons, etc. Yeah, the hidden trick is knowing exactly which parts to ignore, which to override, and which to quarantine. Just like talking to GPT. Okay, so we are going back. And we are going back, and I went back to the top of the conversation because I started with something and realized that I wanted to do something a bit different. We have a tower spawner, and let's just do this the quick way. This is going to be very laughable in just about a moment because of something that is going to tell us to do. I keep thinking if I should organize my scripts, but not really in the mood right now, honestly. Okay, so the script was called tower spawner, and let's just open this up. And I did install Rider after moving to HLSL scripts. I want to say that I'm still not entirely convinced how it's doing compared to Visual Studio, but it has its perks. It has some things that it does smarter. This is something that I did a long time ago, and I didn't change the scripts. I just copy pasted something from ChatGPT, and I keep telling it not to update those files, even though I should do something about it. I'm just waiting for stuff to load. Because every time you create another script, it needs to recompile stuff. Okay, please load. Probably going to take some time to index stuff. I should have started this earlier. Update, not interested. Did I? Every time I tell myself I will not be copy pasting scripts from ChatGPT, and every time I click the copy button and paste into this, we have the spawner, which does all the spawning, logic, whatever we are trying to do. So create the tower prefab. We have the tower prefab. We have created that a long time ago. I'm looking to see if it gave us more information. Attach the script to something saying like a game manager. And again, wait for the script to compile. And maybe one of these days I'm actually going to fix that script and just let it update with the newest changes. Okay, also attach the script. This was the next step. And we have all these things that I've organized really nicely. Create empty game manager. Because, yeah, this is acceptable. Just have a manager and that deals with all kinds of stuff. Add the tower script to it because I believe this is what it was saying us to do. Attach the script to something sane. Empty object name. Okay, please don't put logic on buttons. Absolutely. Hook the button up. And this is the comical gold, because it's telling us to click the button and select the button, go to on click, add the object with tower spawner. So on click on this list, add a new object that we've just set with the tower spawner and choose tower spawner. Of course, it's not telling us. This could have been a bit more complex considering maybe that is for a beginner. So yeah, basically in the no function zone, finds the tower spawner and choose the method. And this is extremely comical because I spent half an hour asking it about buttons and architectures and how to actually set up stuff, and it told me exactly not to do this kind of stuff and to add the script immediately on the button, and the initial instructions were exactly to do this. So my choice right now as a sane person that is learning Unity or whatever it is that I'm learning, basically is that situation where is this mushroom poisoned? No, it's not poisoned. You should eat it. I ate the mushroom. Sorry, but it was poisoned. Would you like to learn more about poisonous mushrooms? This is not good. You told me to not do this. You told me to use add listener. How and where and when. Also, while we're making changes, spawn the tower randomly in the world, just because it's giving us location 000 and it's going to be in the same location. And before moving forward, yeah, I just stopped and took a detour and just figuring out stuff step by step. You are correct, this is not good. Would you like to know more about why this is not good? You caught the real contradiction instead of blindly copying, which already put you ahead of. Oh my god, this is like ChatGPT badly written. I can't believe I read this kind of stuff online all the time, and it's never phrasing stuff like this for me, but now that it's telling me that I'm ahead of 70%, gaslighting. Yeah, I'm gaslighting it. Let me show how much gaslighting I can make. Yes, I did tell you to do that, and yes, because Unity tutorials force everyone to go through that phrase. Oh my god, this is horrible. When not to use the correct mental model. Thank you very much. I already knew the correct mental model. Awake on destroy on spawn click. Okay, so I would have rather picked a faster route, but I might like this better. Create a UI script. Attach this to something stable. Not the button itself. Do this in awake. Okay, let me see. Yeah. Yeah, it's nice and it's acceptable, and I forgot the name of the script again. Tower UI. Creates mono behavior tower UI and compile. Oh, nice, it opened. Ideally, scripts would be as small as possible and as concise as possible, and it's changed the name of the method, which is why it's giving an error, because if you're scrolling down, this is spawn random tower. And what it did at this point is to add an area like if you have a square, you have the extreme points, where the first point is, where the second point is. And we can do this even nicer if we actually use transforms, and we are going to do that instead. Actually, let's do this instead. Can you rewrite this to use transforms so I can hook up stuff in the editor? This is one of the things that at one point I just figure out that it might be easier. Like, you're doing this version 10 different times and you're guessing coordinates, like where do I want the spawning to begin? Do I want them just in this area, or do I want the area to be bigger? And you need to figure out all these coordinates. What is the coordinate at this position? What is the coordinate at this position? And it's just like mentally doing everything. And the better way, just use two transforms, two separate objects. On draw gizmos. I don't need your gizmos, but do play around with this kind of stuff because it's fun. Sometimes like in the past 2 minutes or so, I was just thinking like maybe do a live stream and then let GPT take me down a rabbit hole. Like, okay, I'm doing one thing and it's giving me something extra, and then I take that extra and I do something extra, and I will completely forget where I started and where I wanted to go. Okay, we have the two scripts, and these are simple enough to copy. Like if it had more than 50 lines, then maybe it would have been a problem. No, I don't want to do that. And did we need more instructions? Create objects, hit play. Yeah, let's just go back to the... Was there a more original prompt that I did in the beginning? I don't know. Hook references, assign everything to everyone. Wired listener is better. Unity doesn't teach this early because it requires understanding life cycles. No, it does not. Like, literally you can do something for beginners, just add stuff and it's going to connect everything. Add listener button spawner. Okay. Yeah, so no relevant further information. I just want to go back to my game manager. This is good enough for now. I have the tower spawner that is here. I have the button that is here. And I need the level one empty game object spawn point 1 and spawn point 2, and these are just nice objects that I can drag wherever. Furthermore, I can do something like this, and it should be visible but since I never use gizmos because I find it's too much clutter, this is just a personal preference to keep everything as simple as possible. But yeah, you can actually use this to add the custom icon to see the spawn points better, or do the gizmo thing that it gave the script for. Yeah, so this is like the entire area where I'm spawning. Like if I want to spawn, it's not going to show me both at the same time unless I do enable the gizmos, maybe just for this part. And I need to also be zoomed in. Yeah, like I'm trying to see if I can create some sort of visual to bring some clarity. Okay, like this is nice. And I will also do a secondary plane. And basically what is going to happen is, oops, this goes here. Like this is this new plane that I have added here, for which I can change. Let's put the plate material which we've just built. Like if I want towers to spawn in this around this location, the one of the spawn points is going to be one corner, and the other spawn point is going to be the opposite corner. And by doing this, everything that is between these two coordinates will represent that spawning area. Okay, and last of all, just drag the two spawn points inside the spawner. And I just wanted to check this is clean, nothing is going on here. All the logic and all the connections I have on the game manager. If I want to change something, it is very easy and fast to find. And what else? Was it telling me? Common mistakes. Add listener. No, I've already been through this. I just wanted to go back at the beginning. Where to spawn it? Yeah, so yeah, this was I think where we stopped because I wanted to hook up the button differently. Part where to avoid it, where to spawn it, spawning at hard-coded position. We have three real options. I already figured this out, but let's see what it's doing. So, spawn at fixed points. Because when you actually have a tower defense or a specific game, you can actually put specific points that might be where you want to spawn stuff. Grid-based game, tower defense lanes, spawn where the player clicks, which is extra logic, goes into raycasting, and we can do nice stuff here like adding ghosts, and maybe next time we can actually do a shader for that. Grid-based placement, Canvas is overlay, tower spawns under. Yeah, a lot of things that we should be doing for a more stable game. The actual answer to what should I do? Yeah, do all these things basically that are design choices and experience for the players. Again, I completely agree, and it would probably take another few hours to dissect everything. But here it depends. Like, if you actually know what you're doing and you're not interested in finding everything, this might actually be quite fast. But if you are a beginner and you are trying to understand what is going on, when I was a beginner, I was just satisfied that things were working. I never, or I understood that it was extremely difficult to understand everything that is going on, so I just gave up understanding and I was just satisfied with the fact that things were working. And now every time that I press this button, you can see, actually you can see in the game view too, the camera is extremely bad, but every time I click there is another tower that spawns, and every tower that spawns attacks the enemies with more bullets, and at some point my game is going to break completely, but it looks nice. There's one last thing I want to do, and this is something that I want to do fast. I'm going to remove the image from here, or maybe if I want to be fast, I'll pick an icon from last time. This is not connected to anything. These three images I no longer need. The button can stay here. When I press it, I will just go for an overlay. Like the pressed state is just going to combine things. And for the material, I want to use one of the grayscale materials that I used last time, and I have no idea what any of these materials actually look like anymore. Gray mode? No. Gray amount? Oh, I was actually supposed to look here. Yes. Yes, so I guess this was one of the shaders that combined multiple grayscale algorithms into one. I think I had the conclusion about which one was actually sharper. Okay, so we have this following scenario. We want to fix it really fast, and we are going to describe to GPT a complex problem that we need solving. Where was my button? Where did you set up my button? I have no idea. Tower, okay, this one. On button clicked. Wait, there was one test I wanted to do, because I put the pressed on a green overlay, and I just wanted to, I did leave it on grayscale, it doesn't matter. Yeah, and now you can see that every time I click, it just combines the color that I configured to be clicked. Okay, so the problem is the following. The button has a material. The material has a gray scale parameter. Basically, the material that I added has the grayscale amount. I have no idea how this is going to be, how I'm going to need to write that, because I hope like this. I don't remember which shader was which. Grayscale amount parameter. At 0 it shows the color image. At 1 it shows a gray image. When I click the button, I want it to turn gray. Then it will have a cooldown of 2 seconds where I will not be able to interact with the button. After 2 seconds, the button becomes interactable and gray amount goes back to 0. So basically I asked for a response to this method, to the on spawn button clicked, because I wanted to take into account this complex scenario. Animating a button shader and enforcing cooldown logic. We have this method and it does one thing. So it gives us the cooldown, it gives us the material, it gives us the shader property as a separate field, which is some nice optimizations. It does an awake, image instantiate. Yes, instantiate material. There might be an error. But let's just see how it doesn't work. So basically just replace this, and it bugs me that it did not give me. Why didn't it give me like one single file? Clone the material so we don't nuke every other button. Okay. you can ask it further why should that happen. Start cooldown, cooldown. Yeah, I don't have any objections so far. Maybe the only thing to do is go back and ask what's going on, what any of these mean. Maybe there might be some minor stuff that I would change, but ask it if you were an expert, what would go differently if this was your first day with Unity, what would be different? Okay, so there's two things that are going on here. One of them is the grayscale, which basically we configured. The other one is the fact that the button becomes not interactable, and when that happens it goes into the disabled state where it just gives it some transparency. If you remove that transparency, all you have left is the gray button. And every time you click it, it's going to spawn another tower, and you need to wait 2 seconds to be able to click it again. And I think that's about it. So getting everything ready. Disable, spawn, and set everything back again. And we have something working, which looks great. There is a gray on the press, but it's no longer that visible, and that is okay. Well, we're getting close to a working game, and thanks to GPT we can actually learn how to make that faster. Thank you for following, and I'll see you next week with some more cool stuff.